Boston Celtics take game one in round one versus the Miami Heat, 114-94. A nice 20-point win in TD Garden. And let me tell you, the Boston Celtics looked playoff ready from start to finish. Despite allowing DeLon Wright to come back with a couple of made threes there in the fourth quarter, the Celtics had the lead the entire ball game, never took their foot off the gas. I think Joe Mazzulla's coaching was spot on, although the Celtics weren't perfect in game one, which very few NBA teams are. I do think I saw a very well improved Boston Celtics from the last 10 regular season games. They looked ready, they looked on par, and I'm really excited for the next three games going up against the Miami Heat. We're going to start it off here bringing in producer Smitty. We're talking about the man of the hour, Jayson Tatum, to have his third career triple-double, dropping 23 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. I was nothing short of impressed of Jayson Tatum's court vision, Smitty. And on top of that, we knew he was going to come out hungry going up against the Miami Heat, a revenge game from the Eastern Conference Finals. But I know Jayson Tatum's got to be my X factor for the Boston Celtics here.
Absolutely. I mean, teams are going to look at Jayson Tatum as the obvious number one threat to score for Boston, and he was throwing a lot of double teams at him today, but he remained patient, and he had, like you said, great court vision to be able to find open three-point shooters, find the laps in the defense, and hit open teammates for easy shots. Obviously, he didn't shoot entirely well from the field in this one, 1 for 8 from 3, but from 2, he was actually pretty stellar, 6 of 10 from the field in that regard, and this rhythm that I like to see JT get into as far as scoring the basketball in the postseason, that little free throw line jumper, triple threat position, and maybe giving a guy a jab step into a step back. I saw wonders from Jayson Tatum from the free throw line, from the elbow, kind of becoming a mid-range assassin here in game one. Really propelled this Celtics team to stay in a rhythm, keep hitting shots efficiently, and Jayson Tatum obviously just kept the offense moving, obviously, with his passing ability as well. Crashing the boards. He had 8 of those rebounds come in the first half. So I was thoroughly impressed with Jayson Tatum on both ends tonight, and I'm hoping he keeps it rolling into game 2, maybe just shoot a little bit better from the field.
Yeah, you got to think Jayson Tatum was on a triple-double watch going into halftime. 15 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Not to mention, he was double-teamed for majority of this ball game. I don't think the Heat defense was enough to stop Jayson Tatum.
But he adapted to it well.
Exactly. That's why I got to point out his court vision there. He was finding guys on the other side of the court, making sure that anybody that was open because of that double team was going to get that ball. But we also have to talk about Kristaps Porzingias and what he did down low. Bam Adebayo is one of the best finishers at the rim in the NBA. I also like how he protects around the rim. And I do think Porzingis handled his own here. 7'3" in the paint, 18 points. A lot of his shots also didn't have to come from in the paint. He shot 50% from a three-point line.
Yep.
And we've known this, Smitty, since day one. You leave KP open from even 27, 29 feet from a three-point line, he's going to drain it. That's what I love about KP is he can be a catch-and-shoot threat when you need him to, Smitty.
Yeah, he actually told the halftime reporter when he was going off there a little bit in the first half, he said, my shot doesn't feel 100% today. I can shoot better than this. And, if he can shoot better than 53% from the field, 50% from 3, watch out because he's absolutely a threat for this team. A total X factor. We saw this team, I was honestly missing a player like Kristaps Porzingias against the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but he showed out today. I'd like to see him get involved a little bit more on the glass, but that's never really been Kristaps Porzingis' go-to, being a rebounding threat. It's why you get it as a team, from a Tatum, from a Brown, from a Derrick White, from even a Peyton Pritchard crashing the glass. You don't need it as much from a Kristaps Porzingias, but I'd like to see him kind of dominate the glass a little bit more if possible. But I can't argue with 18 points on 7 of 13 shooting. He didn't even play most of that fourth quarter. Smartly so, but obviously the Celtics let up that lead and had to bring Porzingis back in the ball game, and he did hit a couple of shots there. One thing about Porzingis is I'd like to see him kind of adapt a little bit more because throughout the regular season he has this rip-through move around the high post that they're just not calling anymore, and he's going to have to find other ways to impact the game offensively. He did so today with his three-point ability.
I want to talk about that fourth quarter specifically because we do know DeLon Wright went 5 for 5 from the three-point line, which did cut the lead from 30 points to 15 points. And a lot of Celtics fans were wondering, does this look like the Boston Celtics, who tend to let up leads We, of course, know they let up the lead against the Atlanta Hawks. Was it the Hawks or the Cleveland Cavaliers?
It was the Cavaliers.
It was the Cavaliers, which, of course, Dean Wade dropped multiple threes in the fourth quarter. DeLon Wright started to do that. Then they took a timeout, came back out. But as you can see, 100% from the three-point line. And this, Smitty, has been a really big scare for a lot of Boston Celtics fans heading into the playoffs, is that whether you blow a lead in the regular season, pitch posh, Celtics are the best lead. But now you blow a lead, you drop a game in a 7-game series. So
I mean a lot.
I do think that DeLon Wright, credit to him, he got hot. I do also think the Celtics took their foot off the gas, respectfully so. I'm not talking about take your foot off the gas in the first 9 minutes of the first quarter when you're trying to build a lead. When you're up by 30, yeah, you're not going to go as hard as you would in the first quarter trying to build that. So I'm okay with DeLon Wright getting a little bit hot here. It's how they responded. They cut it in half. Derrick White, who got hot here in the fourth quarter, was really big. But Jaylen Brown, Smitty, I'm kind of looking for a little bit more emphasis from him in game two.
He started slow. I like to see. I like what I saw in the second half from him. He obviously had 12 of his 17 there in half number 2. He was hitting his shots more efficiently. I believe he was 2 for 6 from the field there in the first half. So to end the game 4 for 6. I can't be too mad at that.
Right.
He played fairly efficiently, and obviously Jaylen Brown has elevated his game on the defensive end this season, where I've been thoroughly impressed as well. And somebody who, like Jaylen Brown, elevated his game in the second half, Derrick White, obviously, he had 2 points in the first half. So the Derrick White takeover, it was expected at some point, but to see him explode for 18 second-half points was something that I was thoroughly impressed with. Plus, with the way that he handled Miami's guards there in the first half. And one thing I'll say quickly about DeLon Wright is he is going to likely play more minutes here in the rest of the series. But as far as Tyler Hero goes and the rest of the Heat backcourt players, Derrick White and Drew Holiday did a phenomenal job on them in the first half defensively. Tyler Hero, I know, was 2 of 9 from the field in the first half. And then Derrick White just parlays his great defensive play with a great offensive output in the second half. He was finding his spots. He was efficient from 3. He was more confident of a shooter. So I like what I saw from Derrick White. But if we're talking about guys who explode from three-point line, how can we not mention Sam Hauser and his explosion in the second quarter?
Sam Hauser leading the bench here, 12 points, not to mention 10 points from Al Horford and 8 points from Pritchard. The bench held their own with only 3 players playing tonight, but I had my reserves about Sam Hauser. I've made comments in the past saying if he doesn't make his first 3, maybe first couple of threes, he's probably not going to have an on game, and that absolutely switched. He went 4 for 6, missing his 2 first three-pointers of the game. But here's what the Heat, and if I'm, ever going to give the Heat advice here, it'd be to really watch keeping Sam Hauser open on the corner, because you are going to double-team Jayson Tatum, which you should have. He was the leading scorer for the Boston Celtics, but Jayson Tatum knows that immediately. Sam Hauser is probably going to be the lethal shooter that's left open. That's what we saw when Hero and Bam tried to trap Jayson Tatum, and he chucked it across the court. You're going to find him wide open around the three-point line. So the fact that Sam Hauser is going to be the odd man out here when Tatum gets doubled, I'm all for it. Keep double-teaming Tatum if that's what it takes to get Sam Hauser in double digits. 66% from a three-point line. His catch and shoot is still unfazed.
You're going to win a lot of ball games if Sam Hauser shoots like that. He's
exactly.
kind of had not a slump, I'd say, but with more responsibility over the last 10 or so games of the regular season, he hasn't been as efficient of a three-point shooter. I'm glad to see him get back into that role today.
So with that being said, your confidence in Boston winning the series, I know it's just game 1. I loved how the Boston Celtics looked coming out at the start, 20 points. They beat the Miami Heat in game 1. Put it on scale 1 to 10, 1 being I have zero confidence in the Boston Celtics at all. They're going to flop. They're going to lose, whatever. 10 being Celtics in 4. Celtics win the Eastern Conference Finals. I have never seen a team as good as the Boston Celtics. Scale it 1 to 10 down below. And speaking of Derrick White, who had a huge fourth quarter, I do know we had somebody comment on our stream, TCC Slicky, saying, I just needed Derrick White to have a big fourth quarter. I needed more than 12.5 points, and Derrick White ended with 20. So we have a couple viewers here on Celtics Today playing Prize Picks. I'm playing Prize Picks. Smitty's playing Prize Picks. So here's how you guys can too. Just go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. When you get there, just pick between 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less. That is it on a player's projected stats, and that's how you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. So with my Prize Picks here, Jayson Tatum, gave me the more than 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Tyler Hero, unfortunately, did not have more than 5.5 assists. But you know what? That's what happens when you beat the Miami Heat by 20 points. Hopefully tomorrow, though, with the Joker having more than just 1 point, I can at least win my flex play, which is not the entire total sum, but at least half of it if I do make 2 out of my 3 picks here. So you can do power play or flex play. Just go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. And I highly suggest taking advantage of PrizePicks promo here with just 99% off of the Joker's total points. Hit that more for me, why don't you? Pick more, pick less. It is truly that easy.
I want to talk quickly about Bam Adebayo here. Obviously, he's going to be the player, the focal point of the Heat's offense, and he hasn't really had that responsibility yet in his career with Jimmy Butler kind of taking the reins. Tyler Hero obviously being a great offensive player as well. But tonight he played very well. He was hitting jump shots, and that's going to be something that the Heat are going to obviously marvel at and be productive off of. But when Bam Adebayo was hitting jumpers in that first half, third quarter, the Celtics were still up double digits. So if Bam Adebayo kills you for 24 and 10 of 18 shooting, and you still win the game by 20, I'm not mad at that.
No,
I cannot be upset at the output when you hold Tyler Hero to 4 of 13 shooting.
Yep.
I can't be mad at that whatsoever. So in a situation where Bam is giving you 24, you just hope that Tyler Hero isn't giving you 30 and making this a lot more competitive than it needed to be.
Yeah, we were never questioning Bam Adebayo's strengths. We obviously know around the rim what he can do, and I do think that a lot of those points did have to come from being pushed outside of the post there because Kristaps Porzingias was trying to test him around that elbow there, but 24 points, and you got to look, the second leading scorer there was DeLon Wright after he got hot with those 5 made threes, gave him 17 points, but their next leading scorer here is not Tyler Hero. It's not Duncan Robinson. It's not even Caleb Martin, the Achilles heel of the Boston Celtics last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's a rookie. It's Jaime Jaquez Jr.
He played well.
So and that's no slight to the rookie, but that's not going to be a matchup for the Boston Celtics here moving forward without Jimmy Butler. So I do think Kristaps did a phenomenal job of really pushing Bam out of his comfort zone, really making him try to have those contested mid-range jumpers there. And as you guys can see, overall, the team stats here versus the Boston Celtics.
The Heat didn't necessarily play bad if you look at these stats in a vacuum. They shot 47% from the field, about hit a third of their threes.
They got out-rebounded by 10 here this ball game. That's with Bam Adebayo, and Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown were the leading rebounders here.
Out-rebounded by 14. So if the Celtics are winning rebound battles against a team who's big and strong, and they have a rebound threat like Bam Adebayo, I'm very, very happy with that. The Celtics obviously shot nearly 48% from the field, 45% from three. I will tell you this right now. It's not going to happen every day. You're not going to shoot 45% from three every day.
And TD Guard, it was a good day. Every single Boston Celtic that played tonight had a three-point shot.
I will say, though, 27 assists on 39 made baskets. I'm taking that every damn day out of the Boston Celtics. That is elite ball movement. They're sacrificing. Nobody scored more than 23.
Yep.
Only 2 players got even above the 20-point mark, Derrick White and Jayson Tatum. So I am thoroughly enthused with the way that the Boston Celtics have played in this game, but there are some things that I'm not exactly happy with. We'll tell you about those in just a second, but I don't know. I'm satisfied with the result of Game 1, but I'm not satisfied as far as the rest of this series goes, the rest of this playoffs goes from the Boston Celtics. I'm not ready to say that yet. I'm not ready to say.
No, and as you shouldn't be. That's the reason why they're they made it out of the play-in here. The Miami Heat are still a threat. That's why they were the number 8 seed that took it all the way to the finals last year. I do think they still have the resources to be able to take the Boston Celtics in 1 or 2 games here, but it wasn't perfect. I think one of their strengths here was their O boards, but they did have some lackluster plays.
You can't go into a fourth quarter up 30 like you were and decide to start chewing clock with 6-7 minutes left to go in the game. Possessions are too short in the NBA. Teams are too good at shooting the 3 ball, and we saw that with DeLon Wright. And then a quick hit on Joe Mazzulla. I thought the timeout that he called there when the Heat were making their run was a little bit too late. I think that in a situation where the Heat are getting hot and potentially can get themselves back in the ball game, if there were 3 extra minutes back on the clock, this is absolutely a dogfight, and the Celtics have to fight their way to a Game 1 victory. Luckily, that wasn't the case, but I think that Joe Mazzulla needs to have a little bit more urgency in those situations, especially when they play better teams down the stretch. Hopefully, I'm looking too far ahead to a potential Cavs rematch from the regular season where they came back from a big deficit. You can't let that happen against a team like the Miami Heat.
Unfortunately, we do have timeout Joe, he's never been that coach to call that timeout, which is why I do give Eric Spoelstra credit for calling a timeout with 2 minutes into the first quarter after the Celtics went on a 9-0 run. I mean, obviously he saw coming out of the gap, they were hot. Spo knows to call that timeout. Joe, unfortunately, he'll wait until the 5th made 3 in a row by Jaylen Wright to finally call a timeout here. That's been an issue that we've had here on Celtics Today with Joe Mazzulla the entire year, not to mention the never-ending coaches' challenges when it's normally on an out-of-bounds play instead of saving that and losing your timeout.
I don't hate it, though, because every possession matters in the playoffs.
Right.
So I like that he was getting them ready during the regular season. Hopefully he uses one. He uses one today, and it ended up being successful. So very happy about that. But the Celtics didn't play perfect today.
No.
They by no means played perfect. Maybe through 3 quarters you could say that they played nearly a perfect game. But half of that 4th quarter, you let the Heat get back into this game, and you had to put the starters back in. And one more thing, Caleb Martin, you're soft as hell because with the starters having to play those last couple minutes of the game, the Heat culture came out, and they decided to play a little bit dirty, take out Jayson Tatum while he was in the air going up for a rebound. Could have resulted in a tailbone injury. Glad Jayson Tatum is okay, but the Celtics not playing perfect is the reason behind them having to play so late in the game and having to result in a potential dirty play from a guy like Caleb Martin.
Well, the Boston Celtics did win 3 straight games against the Miami Heat. They swept them in the regular season, and now they take Game 1 in Round 1 of the NBA playoffs. So with that being said, we are now entering a series. So what does Boston need to do to get better in Game 2 before Wednesday? Go ahead and comment that down below. I mean, I'm just going to clean up your turnovers a little bit here in the second half. You don't want to give the Heat any kind of momentum. We know Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, any of those players can get hot at any second. So I'm going to focus on turnovers. Smitty, of course, going to focus on taking timeouts to really end their momentum when they do get hot in this series. So
just don't play lazy. Just don't play lazy when you have a lead because it will come back to bite you.
And go ahead and comment that down below while you're at it. Hit that sub button for me. We are going to be live for Game 2, 3, 4, and everything else after that as well on the journey to Banner 18. We want you guys to be along there with us. Hit that sub button for everything Boston Celtics.